Hey everybody, welcome back to the Badgerland Birding Podcast, bringing you birding news and stories from the Badger State and beyond. Today we're here with our friend Tim Hahn, who's a big Waukesha County birder in Wisconsin, and he was doing a Waukesha County big year last year. So we need all the details about how it went and if you would ever do one again. So how's it going, Tim?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
Doing
We
well.
just got our big day video out, so that was a lot of work.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you're gonna like it. It's over
Probably
20
lots of,
minutes.
oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean it's editing audio is like for eBird is enough for me, so
Are you a big guy where you need like audio of every species you've seen and like a picture of every species you've seen, or just kind of
no.
opportunistic?
Yeah, so photography is not my thing. I mean I could be if I had a camera, but um I don't do a ton of photography. Most of my pictures in eBird are through scope, digiscopes, or very shaky binocular shots. Um, so I did take my camera with me to Costa Rica, but that's the only time I've ever used like a DSLR or anything like that. Or not my camera, my dad's camera. So I don't own one that would take any good photos.
Do
It
you think it would
definitely
change things if we put a GoFundMe to buy you a nice camera?
Oh man, I mean, I wouldn't turn it down. I have thought about like all any presentation I do, I have to like take pictures off of eBird and there's a lot of crediting and stuff that goes on with that. And it'd be nice to have my own photos.
Would you turn into a
But
massive photog? Like, would you go find owl roosts and
no,
go
no,
back every
no,
day?
no, no. There's people that, you and I probably know that we're both thinking of in our head. I would not be like that.
That's Tim. We have a fantastic story to tell you of something that happened at a location. I'm not going to name any names, but there was a very loud person in the area, and there was somebody in camouflage at like a stream trying to take
Oh, yes.
pictures. And the
Yeah.
really loud one comes over and says, like, you don't need all that camouflage. They'll just come right up to you. And the guy's like, yeah, if you're quiet. And it was just like these two forces clashing.
Yes. The
Oh my
covert
gosh.
camouflage photographer with the loud, obnoxious walk right through the habitat photographer.
I can imagine, and I'm probably very close to being right on both of those characters.
Probably.
So yeah. But yeah, I do a lot of audio stuff. I have a lot of audio tracks that I've got built up in Merlin that I gotta pull out and put on eBird checklists, um, and to delete them off my phone so I have more space.
For
Um,
more. For more
yeah,
Merlin audio.
exactly. Yeah, because I think having the documentation is good, and the more audio we get built into the system, the better Merlin will be. Um, So, I like doing the audio probably more just because it's easier. We have a phone. The photography, I I don't know if I have the patience for that. I have to carry another piece of equipment, which is more sensitive than others that I carry, like binoculars. They're pretty hardy, but a camera would be, pretty touchy as far as weather goes and all that. So
You doing a lot of like
I'll stick with
falling
my
in bogs and
binoculars.
stuff?
Oh, you know it. I have done that. Was it last time we talked about it and I fell in a marsh and
Think we did,
or was
yeah.
that somewhere else?
Derek
Yeah,
has a story
yeah,
like that too, where he thought he was gonna die.
I fell like into my
yeah.
waist in a marsh, yeah. It
hmm
was dry
hmm
until it wasn't.
I think anybody who's done one of Ryan Brady's marsh bird surveys has fallen in a marsh
Is
at
that
some
like a
point.
selling point? Like, come fall in a marsh with us.
Yeah, it doesn't help the birds come to you, but you feel, more one with the marsh, I guess.
Speaking of which, Ryan Brady and friends, I think Brunky was on that. They got like 171 species for their big day.
I haven't seen their stuff yet. I just saw Tom's group, Tom Quentin and Aaron.
They had a really good one.
Um, yeah, they have 194, and the I haven't seen Eric, Nick, and Ryan's yet, but I'm sure I will because or Ryan does a email blast. So
Where'd you
Yeah,
see it, Derek?
um,
on Facebook.
Okay.
see, I am much removed from social media these days.
He's
Do you
much
think
removed from any contact
do you
of
think
the
it's
outside
easier
world.
to do a big day in like the north?
I think it
Not
has to be.
necessarily. Well, I guess, yeah, because especially for Tom and Quentin and Aaron, their group, um, they go by the Good Godwits this year.
Good
Good
Um,
name.
Godwits.
yeah, previously the Secretary Birds because they're all tall, but this year the Good
I feel like the Good
Godwits.
Godwits is a much
Um,
better name.
yeah, and they did get both expected Godwits. So, but yeah, they're right on that tension zone where you have the Northwoods tension zone, and then you have the I don't even know what the southern part of the state is, but yeah, different habitats. So they were able to um, start out in the Northwoods, kind of go up into northern Door County, get some boreal
Mm,
birds up there, then come down to Green Bay, which is a giant estuary, pretty much collects everything water related. And then they went down to like Sheboygan and did
yeah.
some gulling and checking there. So yeah, I just read their report yesterday, and that was I don't know, I felt tired reading it because I've done a big day a couple times and it's taxing.
Yeah, we're gonna go over our big day more when we have Cole, who we did it with, on the podcast,
Oh
but we
yeah.
had a lot of adversity. We had really, really bad
Yeah.
weather. It really ran the gambit.
Was that the day where it hailed all over southern
It
Yes,
was.
Wisconsin?
it
It was the
was.
day that it
Yeah.
hailed.
Yeah, my sister's neighbor had it was like tennis ball size hail in her yard.
Wow.
And
We
some of
had
her
like
coworkers
grape
had their
we
windshields broken out.
we had grape size. That was about the biggest we
Oh,
had.
I don't even think I got any here.
I
There
think
was
all
a
I
moment where
felt
I went
gypped.
out to get some of the hail because I just wanted to see it because it was, bounced on the ground. So I was like, I'm gonna
Put some
bring
in the
some of this
freezer.
inside. No, because we were at Nine Springs in Dane, and
Oh,
I was about to go back in the car when I hear this massive crash right above me. Like my head was in the vehicle, but a really big piece of hail hit right above on the car frame, like the
oh
door
my.
frame, and I was like, that would have nailed me.
Yeah, that
every
would have hurt.
all the other birders were inside probably like, glad I'm not doing a big day today.
Yeah, what kind of sucker would pick today to do a big day?
We're planning on that guy's part.
It was the kind of
But
thing where
what you
I kind of saw it coming, but we didn't have like another day we could do. So I was like,
right?
well, maybe they'll be
Yeah.
wrong and it'll clear up. And
See, that's the thing is big day vets. You always have to plan like a 3 day window
that's probably
so
a good
that you're
idea.
off work and whatnot, so that your chances of hitting a good one are good.
Yeah.
So
Going
just
back to your
depends on
point
what you
though,
have
Derek,
available, I guess.
what was that?
It just depends on what you have available, you
Oh
know.
yeah, Derek, I was gonna say back to your point, I think that a lot of the birds, especially by the time that they're doing their big days, which is now, so like really late May, they get a lot of the northern breeders around there. So I think where we
Mhm.
were hitting a lot of migratory species and some breeding birds, I think they're mostly breeding birds and then catching some of the later migrants too. So I think doing it in the northern part gives you
Yeah.
better grouping of birds. I think if you did it earlier in the month, northern, I don't think it would be as good. But I think late
Nope.
May, early June, northern part of the state, you're better off.
Yeah, so reading Tom's message, his write-up, he had a lot of those spots staked out for the
Mm-mm.
day. So he's like, I had a junco in this
I
spot, and I
saw that.
had what else did he have scoped out? A titmouse or something like that. So, he had some things he hit and some things he missed because, birds have wings. But when you move it later,
That's their slogan, I
and
think, actually.
what was that?
Birds have wings.
Oh,
Also
yeah,
Buffalo
don't
Wild
blame us. They
Wings.
flew away.
It's like beef, it's what's for dinner, it's birds. They have wings.
Just, yeah, don't eat these ones, please. We have to do our big day.
So how did the Waukesha County Big Year end up?
So, I ended up with 235 species for the year, which was just short of, well, it's essentially third place to Mr. Mike Ellery. He's got 238, 242, something like that.
In one year, or
So
just total?
no, one year he did, I think it was the two previous years. One was 238, one was 242. Um, but he has the luxury of being retired. So, I'll just take that as a
That
win-ish.
makes a difference.
A full-time
Yeah,
job
yeah,
in year third?
yeah, right. Yeah, but I don't know too many other people who've done one in Waukesha, so you know
It could
somebody will
use
come out
one.
and beat it.
Jefferson.
Jefferson. Actually, you have Aaron
Jefferson,
Stutz out there. Probably not.
I'm sure there's some county in
yeah.
the state that's like nobody's ever
Wood
done one.
County.
Oh yeah, yeah, like Rusk or Sawyer County.
Yeah.
But a lot of those you probably don't have great habitat for shorebirds or, um, other limited availability of certain types of habitat. Plus, you're past the tension zone if you go too far north, and so you don't get a lot of the southern birds down there, like we do down here. So
I mean,
like
I'm
hooded
not saying that you
warblers
need a
and
big
chats.
total. I'm just saying that you need to win.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. But you'd almost have to move up to some of those counties to do it because traveling that much every weekend is pretty tough.
Are you volunteering?
No, no, I did that during the Atlas, the last year of the Atlas, 2019. I was out of town, I think essentially 8 out of the 12 weekends in the summer.
Wow.
And the 4 weekends I was here, I was doing Atlas stuff down here. So um yeah, I don't think I'll be doing that much
Did you
traveling
stay
down
in
to
hotels or did you just camp somewhere?
both.
Oh,
Couple of them were blitzes. Um, like we did a blitz at Sandhill Wildlife Area. That's an Atlas blitz where you get a bunch of people in one place and then you divide up and you try and get as many breeding confirmations as you can in that given area. Um, yeah, we did one in Sandhill, one at Kemp Research Station. So those places we had places to stay and I did camping. I did a couple motels, really cheap motels, but yeah. Um,
so
yeah, that was enough travel for me.
you're a pretty big breeding bird atlas guy. What is it about it that appeals to you so much? Because you are probably out of all the people I know, one of the people that's most into it. So I was just
Mhm.
curious because it doesn't particularly appeal to me that much.
Well, I mean, at the crux of everything, I think that's at the crux of conservation, right? Because to conserve all of these bird species, they need to be able to reproduce successfully and increase their population, or at least maintain their population. And if they can't breed successfully, then their population is going to decline. So we need to know what these birds are doing. And if you don't do the surveys, you won't know. So it's one of many different types of surveys you can do. But just in the basic survey, just going birding, that's helpful in and of itself. You can do a breeding bird survey for I think it's Patuxent Research Station where it's all across North America. They have like several thousand breeding bird routes where you do like 50 point counts in a morning. You do it once during June, and then that's the one of the longest running ones. You have um, Christmas bird counts, a long running survey. So an atlas is just another type of survey, and a lot of those surveys, they're quick hit surveys. The breeding bird survey is a quick hit survey. Christmas bird count, quick hit 1 day survey. But an atlas is a longer period of time where let's just say you pick a block and you cover that block for I think it's at least 20 hours. Um, and you cover all of the habitats. You're making sure you check marsh, prairie, forest, all of that stuff. And you get a certain number of records. Um, and so it's like a deeper dive into a certain area. And in a state like Wisconsin, we had gosh, like 3,000 blocks. And so it was a big, big, big citizen science project. And it gave us a lot of great data. And it's a big part of bird conservation. So I got really motivated by that. I'm actually doing some of that for the county now in Waukesha. I'm doing some more like I would say dedicated surveys to certain parks, including some nest box monitoring. Um, and so it's a nice, good way to do some slow birding after a year of go, go, go birding.
What
Do you
was the
get paid to
most
do those surveys?
No, well, for the Atlas, they did pay a few people, but it was in places that were extremely hard to get, and they needed really skilled naturalists. And then some places they just you couldn't pay somebody to, you couldn't get somebody to volunteer to go, like, some really crappy ag fields, they just had to be done to cover the state so that you could say it was a statistically sound survey. And so you have to pay people to go into agricultural land and that sort of thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would do that. If they paid me to just walk some ag fields and tally some birds.
Hey, the next Atlas is going to start in 2035. So
Well,
just
wow, dang, that's
watch
Hopefully I'm
your
retired
email.
by then.
Yeah, you know, don't bring that up with Nick or Ryan or Tom or any of those guys who are on the Atlas committee because they probably still they're not done with the first one.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, they're still in the
how often
publishing
do they do those
phase.
if the next one's
It's
2035?
20 years.
Oh, every
It's
20
20
years?
years.
Dang. I thought they were more
Yes.
frequent than that.
No, you can't because there's such a big task,
Sure.
to organize that many people. And like some places, like let's just say, New Jersey doesn't have nearly the space that Wisconsin has, and Wisconsin doesn't have nearly the space that Montana has. So like
Oh,
it
Texas,
depends on
California. I
Oof.
can't
right,
imagine
yeah.
coordinating those.
Alaska.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. Good luck. So Wisconsin was hard enough as it is. And to get that many people to help out, and we learned a lot of things in the first one. We learned a lot of things in the second one on how to get buy-in, but the technology changed immensely from the first one to the second one. So the first one was what was it, 95 to 99. The second one was 15 to 19. This third one would be, if it stays on course, 35 to 39. At which point I don't know.
What was the
Maybe I
most
won't be
surprising thing you
capable.
found doing one of those surveys? Like, was there any bird you found nesting you didn't think was nesting, or did you see any interesting behaviors, or what was your highlight?
Personally, uh, I would say my personal one was I did find a prairie warbler in Waukesha County
Nice.
that was on territory 2 years in a row. So that was
It
pretty
was that one
cool.
in the Kansas State Forest, wasn't it?
No, that was there for like the first 2 years, but it was a different bird,
You found a
different
different one.
location. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did
so
it have a mate?
that one had been there for 6 years. If we knew it was there. It was terrible habitat for that one in Kettle Moraine, but um, for a prairie warbler, anyhow, you're not going to get a female prairie warbler to show up in the pine trees. But mine was in pretty good prairie warbler habitat, and it was there. Was it 16, 17, 17, 18, something like that?
Did
So
it have a mate or no?
no,
Dang.
no. But the first time I found it was like in late June. I think I was going in there to look for like crossbills, and I found it. Because the spot I went, it's got a lot of pine woods, but then it's got this prairie segment to it or scrubby segment. And I was not even done going I was in the pine trees still. Um, and it was transitioning into this uh like scrubby open area. And I heard the prairie warbler singing while I was still in the pine forest. And I was like, no way. It's not possible. I'm not good. I never find cool birds like this. And so I coincidentally had left my phone in the car that day on accident, and I didn't realize it until this moment I was going to record it. But I had this crappy phone, or I mean, crappy like old, like not a DSLR, but a point and shoot Canon that could do video. So I was able to record video while I was walking. I just pressed the record button and just started walking, and I got a visual of it, and it's pretty cool. And then I was able to see it there two more times that year. And then it came back the next year. But then the third year after that, I think it moved on. So
Canon
Hopefully
wasn't a
found a better
cam.
spot.
If Canon wasn't a camera company, that sentence would have been way more interesting. I had a point and shoot Canon with me.
So Tim, Derek and I actually found the prairie warbler in Adams County last year.
oh
But
yeah. Yeah,
and then
that was pretty cool.
yeah, and then we found one at Biggest Week also.
That's man, you're the prairie warbler
We
guys.
are the
People from
prairie warbler guys.
Waukesha find prairie warblers.
It's true.
Yeah, there you go.
Except Tim
Yeah.
won't venture out of the county.
Not for a bit. I will for a life bird, but um, right now I'm staying close.
Keep your enemies
Saving
close.
my yeah, saving my pennies and just taking it easy, trying to not not go too hard, just keep it chill. I don't know. Eventually I'll do more traveling. Like I do have a week planned this summer to go up north and do some car camping, but that's about it. So,
Still in state?
oh yeah, I think I'm gonna go to Sawyer County. I'm
Oh,
gonna
he's
try
moving to Sawyer
Sawyer.
County.
Yeah. Yeah, I can sleep into my car. So I don't do tent camping anymore, but I got a pretty good setup in my car. So I'll either do Sawyer or Rusk, just wherever I can find spots. So
All
yeah.
the Walmarts and Cracker Barrels.
No, I'll get a campsite. I'll get a campsite. So but yeah, yeah, I don't know something about the breeding bird surveys. It's a total different thing from like a big year or big day or whatever, because those you're go, go, go. You're always like getting big, notices, leaving the house, chasing things. The surveys are more slow. You go to a park or to your section, whatever you're assigned, or wherever you just want to go. Doesn't have to be a program. And then see what you see. If you see, you can get a confirmation nesting of hairy woodpeckers or clay-colored sparrows, or even just doing nest box monitoring. I'm doing nest boxes at Ryan Park again this year. So um,
Anything
yeah,
interesting?
it's yeah, bluebirds, two bluebird boxes abandoned their nest boxes and the
Oh,
tree swallows took over.
dang.
No idea what caused it because I wasn't there when they disappeared, but yeah. So,
I'm
but
sad now.
yeah, I got clay colored sparrows at Ryan Park. They're back and singing. Got scarlet tanagers there, which I had not seen there in the summer before. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. And then at
Nice.
Launches Woods, that's another place I'm monitoring this year. We had Louisiana water thrush there, water thrush, if I can talk. Number of years now. Pretty much we've known about them there since like 2016. Um, and I had them there in April this year, but I haven't had them since. So, you know, still hoping that babies pop out of the nest at some point.
Do you know where
And you,
where they nest there?
yeah, I mean they nest in the banks of rivers.
Mhm.
So it's usually like quick moving shallow streams like bubbling brooks and things like that. Guy I know that has property right next to the Montrose Woods, he's had confirmations on his property. Um, and we've seen them downstream, which is on the county property. I just haven't seen the evidence of the breeding birds breeding status myself. So like the evidence would be like carrying nesting material, carrying food, feeding babies, that sort of thing.
Mhm. How are the
So
red shoulders
still
there?
hoping.
Are there still red shoulder hawks there?
Yeah, yeah, they're there. I was scanning pretty hard the other day. Finding a nest is probably pretty tough. You just pretty much have to be lucky. But if you can follow the birds to the nest, that'd be nice. I did see a flyover, but I haven't been there um to see the nest. I don't know where the nest is or if there is one this year. But yeah, they're there. It's one of the more reliable spots in the area for red-shouldered hawk.
Hmm.
If you know who the name Scott Deal. Um,
Rings a bell.
Yeah.
he he lives in Washington County up near Holy Hill, and he has them nesting right by his house.
That's cool.
And then I know a lady who has them nesting in her yard in Walworth County. So we got them on
I
the
think
north
we've
and on
been
the
to that
south.
yard actually.
Marriott's house, yeah.
Yep, that
Yeah.
is where we were. That's pretty cool. Red shoulder hawks are neat. They're
Yeah, they
everywhere in the
are.
south, but they're not everywhere up
Yeah.
north. They're a special bird to see up
No.
here.
Yeah, I did get a confirmation of them in Marinette County. Um, mm, is it 2018? That was pretty cool. Babies begging. So,
That is cool. We've just had random run-ins with them, flyovers sometimes. I remember one time I was going to Dane County and I was on the freeway and I just saw one perched up from the freeway going away from Lake Mills. And I remember just being like, whoa, that's crazy. And then I saw that three or four other people eBirded the same bird that day. And I was like,
That's
wow, that's
cool.
wild. Yeah, it must have
So it
sat
was
there for
just
a
kind of
while.
camped out there. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
guess. And other
crazy.
people noticed it and were traveling that way, which was just funny.
Do you remember what you were going to Madison for?
No,
Were
this
you
was in the
chasing something?
winter time, I remember though. It was really frigid out and I was in
Hmm.
no, it wasn't. It was going away from the landfill area at Johnson Creek is where it was going away from because I was trying to look at gulls there and there was a bunch of heat haze because it was really freezing out. And yeah, then I saw it perched up. You could see the rusty underside, so that was cool. But it was just funny.
Cool. That is funny. The reason I asked was like maybe if you were chasing a rare bird in Madison and other Milwaukee people were also going there,
Yeah, that's definitely a
maybe
good
that's
thought.
why
I
you're all
don't
going to the
think
same
there was
place.
anything because I
Dude,
remember it being kind of leisurely that day.
we went out Memorial Day weekend to like Scuppernong. It was packed with people and kids. It was like
Oh gosh,
impossible
yeah.
to bird. It was wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I what was that this last weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so on Memorial Day I did a hike in Monchus and it's a pretty popular stretch of the Ice Age Trail. So I got there not as early as I wanted to, but before a lot of other people. And I hiked the Ice Age Trail, and then there's more of a back loop on the county woods. And I did that back loop, and there was zero people there. And then the next when I came back out onto the Ice Age Trail, it was just packed with people. So yeah, I mean it's good. I like that people are out in nature and stuff. It's just it gives you a reason to get out even earlier. So
Yeah,
in
I
the
went
morning.
to went to Prince's Point on Memorial Day and there was nobody there. So maybe you got to go to like the dump, places
You
where
have to tell everybody about this
families don't
Princess
just go.
Point place, Derek, because I feel like
It's
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 funny.
this new like shorebird habitat that I
It's
think,
new, it's trendy, it's the
yeah,
shorebird
like the
habitat
DNR
everyone's talking about.
is managing it. It's like a half hour away and there's like been
You
a
had
lot
to
of cool
you had to
stuff
get a
there.
place called Prince's Point to get people interested in
Well,
shorebirds,
I
you
thought it
know.
was Princess Point. It's like Prince
Oh,
apostrophe S, like
So it belongs to the
princess.
right.
prince.
Yeah, I
It
thought it was
belongs to
Princess Point.
Prince.
Yeah. But for a
Yeah.
while, the eBird spot was like not in the right place, so people were confused about where it is.
Mm,
But I think they made a new one, so now it is in the right spot.
yeah. Yeah, some of those eBird locations can get tricky.
So
So,
what's the deal
and
with those birds?
sometimes yes, and sometimes people have to plot them purposely in the wrong place so people don't track down to private property, that sort of thing. So,
So what
yeah.
it says is it
People get mad, but that's what they're gonna do.
consists of approximately 3,700 acres of primarily riparian wetlands associated with the confluence of Spring Creek, the Scuppernong River, and the Bark River. It's known for waterfowl hunting
Mm,
opportunities, with two existing impoundments and four additional impoundments being added and restored in 2024 to 2025. So I'm assuming those are the impoundments out there that have been really good for
yep.
shorebirds.
Well, that's great that it
Yeah.
exists. I mean, anything adding more habitat like that is great.
Well, I feel like it's a good
Absolutely.
case of
Yeah.
if you build it, they will come. Like we just need.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was telling Ryan like we should just buy some property and just make it a mud flat, and then just have
I
a bunch
have
of
a spot
shorebirds.
for you. I have a spot for you. Yeah. Do you know where McMahon Road is, north of
Yes.
Yeah.
Oconomowoc?
Yes.
Yeah, that's some farmland that the guy has some trouble on. I've never talked to him, but you can tell his crops are always underwater, and it's good shorebird habitat when it's wet. So you buy it from him, take out the drain tile, and plug it up, and get some good shorebird habitat out
I
there.
wonder how
I
much you'd
wonder.
sell that for.
I
Could we
wonder
get a
if you
land
just
trust?
knocked on his door if he would actually be interested in selling it. That'd be so funny.
I don't know. Like, yeah, you never know. Like he might say, "Yeah, this one's been a thorn in my side for a while. If you can give me a few grand for it, I'll
I mean,
take it
that'd
off
be
my
pretty
hands."
cool. Do you think that
Yeah, there
people
are
would want
land
to
trusts up
collaborate
there.
and pay for that? We could get like a bunch of
Well,
people from area birding places.
oh yeah. I don't know how much you get certain people to pay, but like there's a land trust called well, I won't name it here, but I don't want to
But there's a land
I'll
trust.
put them under pressure. There is a land trust that deals with agricultural land to keep it from being developed. And in this case, it would be taking agricultural land and just leaving it so that it's not farmed. Um, I don't know if it's within their, business plan. They always have a mission and so on, but somebody somewhere could be probably convinced to preserve that sort of land. So It's just a matter of coming up with the funds that the landowner would want. Who knows? Maybe he wouldn't sell it. Maybe he's like, nope, I'm not selling this for anything. But you never know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that would be pretty cool. If he's not able to grow anything on it, really, you would think he would just be like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" You never know.
Yeah.
We've actually knocked on farmers' doors before simply to look in ponds on their properties, and we've encountered some
Mm,
really friendly people that are like, "Yeah,
yeah.
sure, come on in."
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah. As long as you're not telling them what to do with their property, that's usually one thing they don't want. So
I would
That's
if
fair.
imagine.
it's
Yeah.
yeah,
So we should go in and
yeah,
be like, "Can we buy your property?" Not, "You need to do this with your property. You need
yeah,
to get the shorebirds on your property." So
yeah. People don't like being told what to do, so that's usually the wrong place to start.
I bet you could also say that you could put out like a donation box or something. And, if he got rid of the drain tile, be like, yeah, people would pay to come check it out if it's good habitat.
Yeah, yeah. He'd probably be like, "All right, what do we do next year?" So, but um, yeah, it's something I've thought about, but I'm not really a business-minded person in that way. So, but I can identify the habitat that you need to preserve.
That's good. So we need that. We want to be a land trust.
Do
It's
you?
it's funny because I
It
feel like
sounds very businessy.
a lot of these places, I'm like, oh, they should add this. Like that would obviously be very expensive. Like at Prince's Point, I'm like, they should add a boardwalk that goes directly through the main thing. Wouldn't that be great? And
I
I'm
Yeah,
like,
mean,
I'm
there's
sure that's not
really
their
yeah.
priority of like, we need to have the birders see
No, the
shorebirds at
last,
closer range.
there's really almost no place
well,
I can think of that'd be not better with a boardwalk though.
It's true.
from our perspective, yeah, but from a hunter's perspective, they want as few people in there as possible. And all these properties, especially the state properties, have different purposes. And if it's labeled as a state wildlife area, it's probably designed for duck hunting or something like that. So yeah, I've run into that at Paradise Valley,
Yeah.
which is a similar kind of place that's been reclaimed. And I people birders talk like, oh, they should put a platform out there. I'm like, they're not going to do that because come September 1st, the hunters are going to be in there and they don't want any reason for you to go out there and put yourself in danger and flush the birds, you know. So, um, if it's designed to be a hunting place, they're probably going to leave it that way.
Were
Um,
there breeding black-necked stilts at Paradise Valley at some point?
oh yeah, I'm pretty sure. Um, I haven't seen it personally, but there were people that saw young ones there, like um year or two ago. It's a hard place to get deep into.
Yeah.
You can walk around the whole thing, but you got to backtrack because there's some private property and it's pretty overgrown and a decent distance, probably 2 miles, just to get around to the other side. Um, so I don't think a lot of people do it. I've kayaked in there before, but
That's
it's
cool.
pretty shallow, and so getting around some of the spots is tough.
You're gonna fall in the marsh.
Actually, I borrowed one of those kayak wheels, and then you carry one side of the kayak and the other side's on wheels. And so I took that all the way in, went out there. I didn't really see anything too impressive. And then I tried coming back. I'm like, oh crap, that cattail looks like that cattail. That looks like that cattail. I'm not sure I'm getting back to my right spot, but I eventually did. I just pulled up, thank God for GPS, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
You
That
just
sounds
you just pull down the green screen behind you and you're like, I'm still in the marsh.
Been there since 2021.
this is why I never leave the county. Greg Miller tells a story that he really likes when he was looking for flamingos. I think it was Florida, right, Derek?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and
He was on your guys' show, yeah.
he kayaked in and didn't realize that the tide was gonna come out. So he
Oh,
goes in there and all of a sudden the water just recedes and he's left just in this mud. And he said that he had to get out and walk it through this mud to get back.
and that is probably the soggiest mud too, because it's underwater a lot of the time.
Yeah,
And
I
he
wouldn't
probably
want to
was
walk on
sinking
that.
in pretty hard.
Yeah,
Yeah, he said
wasn't
Probably
he
wasn't
lost
the
lost
some
kayak
everything.
shoes.
wasn't the kayak rental guy like, what happened to you?
Yeah, I think so.
He's like, did nobody tell you the tide was going on? He's like,
You should
no.
have been back 3 hours ago.
I think that's exactly what happened. And then another time he went in, the mosquitoes were so bad, and he just had a
Oh,
lot of bad luck with these flamingos. We actually saw
Oh man,
flamingos. We weren't with him, but we saw flamingos around the time when we were with him in Florida, which was cool.
nice, nice. Yeah, that's one I dipped on. So,
When
um,
did you try in Wisconsin or in Florida?
well, yeah, they showed up when I was in Superior at Jaegerfest.
Oh,
Um,
they
that
stayed
was
like
the day
weeks
they showed up.
after.
Not the exact. That wasn't not in the same spot. They disappeared 5 hours after they were seen, and then yeah, they did show up in Adams County at Petenwell, Lake
Yeah.
Petenwell, but they were kind of hit and miss. Like some people that got really good photos were out on kayaks, so that was
Yep.
kind of a
Ryan went
little
out on
bit
a
of
kayak to go see him.
yeah, exactly. So like that was kind of a tease, but I was actually there the first day they weren't. So
Hmm.
Oh, that was
such is
kind of
life.
a funny story when I actually went to see them. Sorry for your loss, by the way. Sorry for your miss. But I was up there with Nathaniel Wegner, our buddy Natty Wegs, checklist man, and we were looking from shore and couldn't see anything. And I was like, Rob, where are these? Rob Pendergast, and then our friend Eric Conkle was with him too. And he just goes, "Don't worry, we're bringing kayaks." So he just shows up with
Nice.
4 kayaks, and
Oh
then
wow.
yeah, showed us where to go, and we all went out there together and got them. And it was
That's
funny
cool.
because you would go paddle out, and the area they were standing in wasn't very deep, but you were in the middle of the lake. So you looked around
Yeah.
and felt like you were just in the center of the lake, but you could stand up. It was like knee high.
That's a huge lake. And when I was there, the winds were whipping. And I feel like if they were there, they were probably, I mean, they're ocean birds. So they probably aren't bothered by it, but like, they probably were tucked back somewhere. And I probably just missed them.
Wasn't
Yeah, I mean,
Nathaniel like he had some issues paddling?
Nathaniel could not figure out how to work his kayak, so he was sitting in it funny. So when he was paddling, he kept just going around in a circle, and we didn't realize that he had any trouble with it. We thought he was just goofing around, and we're just like, Nathaniel, get a hold of yourself. And then Rob eventually realized that he was like sitting too far forward or too far back or something, so it was
Oh
all off.
my.
So he was just going around in
Yeah.
circles as we're trying to get back.
Yeah, you'd think it's intuitive, but it maybe isn't to some people. So
Yeah, he did kayak all the way out there though, so he succeeded.
that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
it's the most physical activity
Nice.
he's ever done, actually.
Catching strays. Jeez.
Jeez. Not even here to defend himself.
If you
We
were here to
haven't we
defend
have
himself, you'd
invited
just
him
be like,
on
"You're
and
right."
Oh
we've in,
yeah. I mean,
we've
you didn't
invited
think
him
he'd
on
come
and he's
on.
been like, ah, I don't
No.
know.
I can't talk to the internet.
He's a pretty mild-mannered guy, so
Very mild-mannered
maybe
guy.
yeah. Maybe one of these days. Get him out, maybe find a topic that he just can't shut up about or something like
We'll
Well,
have
I
to
think
bring someone else on that can't shut
it
up
was a
to
trip that we'd
counteract
all
him.
gone on together, and I was like, "Do you want to come talk about it?" He's like, ah, I don't know.
that.
I said
You were
we're just
Maybe
gonna
there.
have
maybe make
to,
it a group thing. Get Rob and
yes.
Eric on there too.
Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to just have him on as kind of somebody to sit there, while we talk and then occasionally interject.
He can be
So,
like
Oh,
Jamie on Joe Rogan, where we can ask him to look things up.
Nathaniel, look this up.
or like Andy from the Conan O'Brien show. You just
Yeah.
every once in a while you pan over to him and he makes some goofy comment.
Or
Yeah.
Glenny Balls from
That's what I was
Barstool
gonna say.
Sports.
Yeah, Glenn, yeah, that's what I was gonna say next. Natty Balls.
This is quite the nickname.
Did you ever hear about how Glenny Balls got hired?
No.
Do you even know who we're talking about, Tim?
Nope.
There's
Nope.
a there's this show called Sunday Conversation, which is just really funny interviews where awkward questions are asked, kind of like misleading awkward questions, just for the purpose of being funny, are asked to famous athletes and rappers and just
Oh
personalities.
gosh.
And he has this sidekick on that doesn't really do anything except eat ice cream and is usually dressed in a funny outfit, whose name is Glenny Balls. So he'll just get him involved and be like, Glenny Balls thinks this. And then he'll
Oh
ban him. He'll just
gosh.
like, I didn't say that. He'll be like, Glenny Balls thinks that you suck. And then he'd be like, What? Why'd you say that about me? But this guy got hired because Caleb Presley is the guy that is the main person on Sunday Conversation. He just walked him in and said, he's really fast. You should hire him. And he's like, why would I hire him? And he goes, well, I already did hire him. So we have him now.
You can almost do anything you want on a podcast anymore. Just all sorts of goofiness and if it becomes part of the show, people love it.
It's not even really a podcast. This is a YouTube show.
Okay. Well,
They
kind of the
probably
same
have a
thing.
podcast or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, you can if you're recording audio, you can turn anything into a podcast these
That's
days.
true.
So
Yeah.
But Derek, then he just told everyone his name was Glenny Balls, just
So
for
it
no
might
reason.
might not even be his real name.
Yeah, and then Dave
whose
Portnoy
real
was
name would be that?
I don't know.
Dave Portnoy was like, it says here that you're an umpire. Why don't you give us your strike call? And he does a really weak call. He's just like, that's strike three. And he's like, wait, you don't have your own signature move? He's like, well, I was only an umpire for like one summer. And he's like, but you said on your resume that you're an umpire. Why would you put that on there if you only did it one summer?
Because it's true. I was just thinking though, if Jeff Balls, had a kid and named him Glenn, we'd probably call him Glenny.
That's true.
I was reading something that Shooter McGavin and Happy Gilmore, like there was no thing in the script about why they called him Shooter. So he just created his own thing that after he made a shot, he'd just go Shooter or something like that. Like he's like, well, he needs a reason for like why he's called it.
Right.
But like, is that
Yeah.
his reason why he's called Shooter, or is the name Shooter the reason he does that celebration?
I don't know, but he felt that it needed
It's
the
probably part
celebration.
of the actor probably created the character to some
I
extent.
forget
So
the actor's name.
I can't remember it either,
Because we
but
need
it's a
Natty to
great
look this
movie.
kind of stuff up.
Natty Balls, look it
Yeah.
up.
You can just paste him into the side of the screen here,
What, I'm
after the
trying to
fact.
sleep, guys.
Christopher McDonald.
Ah, Christopher McDonald.
I would not have come up with that, but there's Derek with the Google machine.
I'm normally the Jamie of the
That means you're
podcast.
Derek Balls.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
So Tim, do you have any
I know.
birding destination aside from Prince's Point that you got to go check out
Yeah.
soon?
Um, well, I will be going up north at least a week this year. Well, not a week, probably 5 days. There's too many things going on locally. But yeah, I do have about 5 days. I'm gonna go up north, one of the counties I haven't been to very much, and try and go and find some forest birds. Goshawk would be a life bird for me, so each year I kind of go up hoping for that. Um, I don't really have any other destinations in mind. Um, just trying to um, pay for the last trip or whatever. I guess I am going up to Superior in August for Bronchi's birthday.
Oh,
Ooh,
He's
nice.
turning 40 this year,
Wow,
so
Brunky.
Mom
yeah,
Ross a
He has
bird.
yeah.
the energy of a 15-year-old.
6-year-old. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But so my dad and I'm sure we'll be doing some birding up there. Can't go to Superior and not do some birding.
Yeah, I went to Jägerfest for the first time last year and we didn't have any
Oh,
Jaegers,
did
but
you?
I really enjoyed like being up there and feeling the fall weather. And
Yeah,
we went by the Hawk Weekend Festival, which was cool. Saw
very
saw
cool. Yeah,
Brunky there.
there you go. Yeah, he's doing his yearly. He usually goes there for Hawk Weekend and helps out because it's a big festival, and he lives in town there. So, but yeah, I wonder though with the Jagerfest if they might need to move that back a week.
I think
Um,
that would probably help.
why?
I'm not sure if it's just climate
Seemed
or
like
if
they were
it's.
later
I've
this year
always
or last year.
Yeah, I've had this theory of seasonal shifting for quite a while now, going back a number of years, where like
Lifts up
winter kind of
glasses.
creeps. What was that?
I said lifts up glasses. You're like, I've had this theory of seasonal shifting.
Well, I mean, winter goes creeps into spring more. Spring kind of like creeps into summer. Summer lasts longer now, and winter doesn't start until January, at least in Wisconsin here. So it might just be something like that. It might be just seasonal patterns are shifting. It might be climate. But yeah, it used to be that you go to Jagerfest, which is up in Superior for those who don't know. Uh, and you got to bring everything from shorts to winter parka. Now those extra layers really aren't necessary if they keep it that weekend. So my hope is that they do move it a week back. Um, Also because you do run into, for some reason, Superior Duluth has stuff going on that weekend every year. The one downside would be it's not that same weekend as Hawk Weekend anymore, but for somebody who doesn't like huge crowds at birding spots, I'd like that better maybe. So
Well, you could just go when it's not Jägerfest.
you could, but then it's just you and the lake.
It definitely helps
Well,
having a lot of
it's
eyes.
Well, you could kind of make your own
right.
Jaegerfest. You could just bring like, 6 people that you enjoy spending time with and be like, we're gonna go look for Jaegers.
You think I have 6 people?
You at least have two.
Okay.
Hey, Brunky would probably
No.
Oh
stop by.
yeah. You have
Oh yeah,
me,
Brookie and I.
you,
Well,
Brunky,
Peter Mundale would pop
your
on over.
dad,
yeah.
Matthew
So
Radford.
that's funny. Yeah, we could get Matthew up there. Get him. I'm sure he's seen Jaegers before in Alaska though. But what was I going to say? Oh, that year that the flamingos showed up in Port Washington, a lot of people bailed on Jaegerfest, and so
Yeah.
Bronky and I were there holding down the fort. It was pretty. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of what happened, but I know why people left. And so we showed up on, was it Saturday, Sunday morning? I think it's Saturday, and we were like the most experienced people there. Which, I mean, Brunky he's expert,
Does it
but
for a
like a
living.
lot of the, yeah, exactly. But a lot of the usual guys weren't there, and so the people that did show up were looking to us for kind of guidance on what to look for and stuff. So it was an interesting experience.
You're like,
But
I
yeah, I
hated
mean,
it.
Did you
no,
guys
I've been in
find
that
some
position
Jaegers?
before. Yeah, there was Jaegers. Yep, yep. Like Robbie was still there. Sean Putz was still there. We still had some really good burgers there. It's just a matter of, um, not everybody's a field trip leader, so it takes some experience to do something like that.
So when I went with Bill Grossmeyer, and it was a really nice sunny day. And the Jaegers, which are supposed to be easier to find closer to shore when the weather's really bad, were
Yep.
really close in. And we just got
Oh,
really nice
cool.
looks at parasitic Jaegers. There was some really distant um,
I thought
Savage
you got
Gulls.
all three when you were there.
No, we didn't get all three. We only got parasitic Jaeger.
Oh, okay.
But the looks were
That's
really
that's
good.
normal. Yeah, parasitic is usually, I would say, 99% of the Jaegers there,
Also, I
at
came
least
up with a
during that
term for your
festival.
seasonal shifting thing. I think we should call
What
it
was
the
that?
fall creeps.
You would bring up creeps.
What's that supposed to mean?
He's trying to call me
You
a creep.
guys, you guys in your cryptid talk every
Oh,
episode.
that's true. Yeah.
We know you don't have any cryptid stories. We're not going to ask you.
I don't. I try. I brushed that off last time. I was like, I just don't. I just don't. But
I do recall, though, one time you and I were owling, and I feel like the Kettle Moraine State Forest is inherently creepy to me as it is, not even just at
yeah.
night. But we were like going there at night in the Camp State Forest near Mackey Woods, and you just kept being like, why don't we try going another 100 yards in? And like we're just going deeper and deeper into the woods. And I remember we heard this just like random crash in the middle of the woods, and I was like, "What was that?" And you're like, "I don't
It
know,
was
like a
probably a
raccoon or
young owl
something."
or something like that. Yeah, it might have been a raccoon falling out of a tree. They're pretty clumsy.
How often do they do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
But
They're
it was
not
a crash
squirrels,
in the
so
woods.
yeah.
And then after that, he's like,
But
"Why don't we go another 100 yards in?"
let's see what this is all about.
The KM State
Um,
Forest is the only place I've ever been really, really creeped out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh well.
I
At
asked him
least it's
the other
got that
day.
going for it.
I asked him if I decided to go on a quest to have like a ghost experience, like a really creepy paranormal experience, if he
So
would
you
go
go
with
searching
me.
it out.
And he said he wouldn't partake in it, but he would attend for my safety, is what he said. But he does not want to be involved in it.
I
He
don't
doesn't
want to
want to
have
Okay.
have an
anything exciting or
experience.
experience.
Okay. So, what about going owling in a different place in a different woods, at night,
I mean,
like
I think
hiking and
that's
whatnot?
still creepy, but I feel
Yeah.
like those woods at the KM State Forest have had me creeped out during the
There's not a
day.
lot of light around there. It's very much dark. And I feel like
Yeah,
Yeah,
it just
that's
has a
it's
certain
dark
vibe to
and
it.
thick.
It
it
gets that
does.
ominous
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah, and when you got all those tall trees, it doesn't lend a lot of any kind of light, even if the moon is up. You get a lot of shadows. Yeah. But yeah, the spot I'm thinking about is County Woods up near Manchas, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some cool owls in there if you
Now
go.
you're gonna say I'm pretty sure they're
Just
haunted.
That's what I thought you were gonna say.
You would go
nah.
back. You would go back to the Cam State Forest and Owl, right?
Of course he
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, he's just yeah.
He's gonna do that after this.
No, I was talking about
Yeah, I
you.
just
Oh, me? I
Yeah.
don't know. Probably.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Well, what about with your night scope? If you just put your night scope up to your eye, do you guys still have one of those, or were you
So
renting it or whatever?
we have a like I don't want to call it cheaper, but a more affordable one that you can see like
Mhm.
blobs. We got to try the Zeiss DTI, I think it was the DTI 4, and that thing was insanely cool. Like the definition on that was
Yeah.
awesome. And it did
Yeah.
make you feel like you weren't in the dark because you could just look around you and it was like clear as day,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, it
Wild.
was
Yeah,
I
that's
hope
cool.
that tech becomes more affordable because it's really neat.
Oh yeah, it will. It will. Just have to get people to buy it so that they can do some more mass manufacturing and all that sort of stuff.
yeah, right now it's definitely a
Justify
luxury
research.
item.
Yep.
People
Yep.
had a lot of
As we're,
success in
I mean, think about 100 years ago, binoculars were probably luxury items. So
yeah, people
Yeah.
had a lot of success with the thermals in Sac Zim this year because they would just scan the trees and find, roosting owls that way with all of the
well,
owls
and
under them.
it's cold as hell up there. So, any
Yeah.
little blop of a heartbeat's probably gonna show up.
Yeah, I
So,
think they did. I mean, one of our friends was like, "Yeah, I found 9 boreal owls using the
holy
thermal."
cow.
I know.
That would be a life bird for me too. I could have gone up there this year. Um, I just didn't. I had too many other things going on. But Paula, my friend Paula Stick, went up there, and she was birding with Eric. Her and a group of ladies went up there, and he got him right on one. She was like taking a picture through the car window, looking at a boreal owl. I'm like, oh my God,
That was your
that's the
moment.
dream right there. Yeah,
We
but
had
I was not there, so
we went up there and we had one really bad day where we saw like no owls, and then we had five owls the next day. So it was like night
nice,
and day.
nice.
But
Yeah, I
there's
mean,
something cozy and magical about being in the bog. I was telling Ryan when we were up there, it feels like a warm hug, because there's like the visitor center that has a little
yeah.
fireplace and
Oh, that's a cool place, the
everybody's sharing
visitor center.
sightings. Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a really good job there. Yeah, most of the people are pretty good at sharing sightings. And the birds just, I mean, assuming if you see a boreal chickadee, like you can, if it gives you like, you know, just the warm fuzzies inside. So,
I was mad that it wasn't a boreal owl.
oh, what did you see?
So when we went up there the first day, boreal chickadee was one of the first birds we saw, which actually is pretty hard to get usually. So it was actually a really good
Yeah.
bird. But we birded
Certain
really.
feeders are better than others, but they're not always, consistent.
Yeah, the first time we went up to Saxon, we had to go all the way to Isabella, Minnesota in a snowstorm and track one down in the woods. So this was much easier. But
Yeah.
we birded all day and did not find a single owl, which was crazy. Like when we were up there that
Wow.
day, they just weren't really around, and there were some boreal owl reports, but they were kind of starting to get suppressed, and they were starting to get, I don't want to say sketchy, but people after the fact would be like, "Yeah, there was one here," so they just weren't telling people. On the
Yeah, at
second
that
day
point,
that we
just
were,
shut up about it, right?
Yeah, it's
Just
like I
don't
don't want to
say
know if it
anything.
was
well,
here. Like,
yeah, a guy
Yeah,
was just
it's
like,
like
"Oh, we were
you
birding."
got to wonder, are people stringing? You know what a stringer is, right? Where
Right.
people they want to say they had it, but they can't show you any proof, and it's never repeatable. You can't repeat
So I
their
don't think they were
sightings.
stringing. I think what would just happen is
Okay.
that they wouldn't think to tell anyone or care to tell anyone.
or I feel like
Or,
it would almost be like they had it sounded like one was an instance when somebody had like a client. And so it was like they were doing a tour or something and they just got it for their client and didn't really tell anyone else or something.
but we were in the north, what was it called? North Shore area. And
Yeah, the
somebody
North
was like,
Shore.
"Oh yeah, just 20 miles or not even 20 miles. It was like 5 minutes from here. This guy was here yesterday." And it was just a full on, full screen boreal owl that this guy's showing us. He's like,
Wow.
"Yeah, I was here around, what was it, three
Oh, and
o'clock."
then it's even worse. Like now, I just need to get one with snow falling on its head. Like they're like, I have the
Oh,
sighting.
like
Now I want
get lost,
more. And
buddy.
Yeah.
you're like, I just want a view. Dang it.
I
Get
remember
lost,
I
buddy.
felt similar to this when we were getting the fantail warbler in Texas. There was a guy that was just showing the pictures of how great the sighting was before, and it had this habit of showing up for a little bit and then leaving and then not coming back until, who knows when. So this guy's just like, "Oh, it was here right in front of me. Look at these pictures I got of it." Like, he was, obviously excited about getting his pictures, but I was just like, sure wish that I could see it. They're all
Yeah.
done trying to find it. So they're just like, "Oh, it's great." They're being loud. And so, "Oh, pictures
Yeah,
of
it's
it."
like, all right, move back towards the cars and be quiet.
Yes.
I don't want to hear your joy.
I was like, I'll talk to you after I get the chance to see it, and then we can talk
Yeah,
about it
yeah.
together.
But for now, I'm gonna grumble.
Yes, correct. That is my right.
Yeah, and that well, the only reason in Saks that we got the Boreal Owl is because Sparky helped get us on one. You know
Okay.
Sparky,
Yeah, that
right?
guy's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, Sparky's a
he's a
cool
the
great
guy.
guy.
keeper of the bog.
Yeah, yeah, the bog would not be there if it wasn't for him. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I did when we were up there. So at the beginning of 24, me, my dad, Paula, and Jason went up there and were birding with Eric, and just so happened to be the same weekend as the birdathon. And Eric's like, "Do you want to join? It's $10 a person." I'm like, "Heck yeah!" And so we did that, and we didn't like add too much to their list, but it was fun to just hang out at the compilation dinner at the brewery with all the folks that were part of it. So yeah, and Sparky obviously led the whole thing. So yeah, it's fun to hang out with those folks.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny because we have a pretty good connected web now of people that we know from the birding world. So we know Sparky, we
Yeah,
know Greg Miller. So we just are accumulating more interaction with these people. We met
yeah,
Ken Kaufman on a
all
lot
your
of the things.
podcast guests and whatnot. So
And then we have some of our goober friends on.
yeah, guys who just beg to be on, you know.
Well, Tim, you can say that you've been on multiple birding podcasts now.
I can. I did visit Matthew's podcast, so that was pretty fun. Matthew's a great interviewer. I like his show a lot. So,
Bird's Eye View podcast. If anyone wants to check it out, we were on Matthew's
yep.
podcast as well. And he's at
Yeah,
I
he
know,
was on
Yeah.
ours.
yeah, he was on ours as well.
Yeah.
Cool guy. Likes
Yeah.
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Sasquatch
He
enthusiast.
does. He is. Yeah. Yeah. I one of his most recent episodes, he was just going on and on about cryptids and whatnot. I'm like,
Oh, we got to check
you
that out.
guys and your cryptids.
It's so
He's
entertaining.
gonna have Jeff Meldrum on sometime.
Wasn't he talking about trying to get Jeff Meldrum on?
I think he was talking about going to the university where he teaches or something. He's like this
Okay.
primate expert, and he's like one of the few people that's like, yeah, like there's all this evidence of footprints and stuff. So they like, always cite him as like a credible person in the Sasquatch
Sure,
world.
sure.
Yeah. So he's like the
It's
only
like the
one that
same
like,
guys,
yeah, all the time. It's like,
on like Discovery World with
Yes.
the ghost sensors and stuff like that. That sort of a show
It was
or
like,
whatever.
everyone who disagrees has Dr. Jeff Meldrum to contend with. And then it's him being like, if you look at the, was that
the like ridges or something, or like the
yeah,
arch.
the mid-tarsal break. That's what it is, the mid-tarsal break.
It's non-human.
Not human, according
Primate.
to
Yeah.
I don't
Dr.
know.
Jeff Meldrum.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there with some weird feet that could probably do something like that. So I don't know. Just call me a skeptic.
I don't know if I'm qualified to talk about that kind of thing.
Feet?
Yeah,
You have some, right?
I do. Yeah.
He prefers not to think
Okay.
about it.
Yes. Some people don't like it, so
Jeff Meldrum does though.
he
Oh,
loves Bigfoot feet.
He loves casts. He has like tons of
I do have to
casts.
say that I did buy a
Oh,
Bigfoot cast replica from the
The
Patterson
Patterson
Gimlin
Gimlin.
one.
Yeah,
And
that
I
is
gave
pretty
it to
cool.
Derek and my dad, and I have one. It just seemed like a cool piece of memorabilia.
oh my gosh. So it's like a plaster thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, interesting.
Even
Where
if
was it
it's not
from?
real.
Where did he take it from? Was he
It was
out west
from
somewhere?
one of the originals in California in Bluff Creek.
That was
Okay.
like the footage, like the famous footage of the one that like turns. You know, it's like
Yeah. What all those like cutouts are from?
Yep.
yeah, pretty
You'd
much.
Exactly.
see like on people put it on the side of the road, so it
I've
looks
been
like there's a
seeing
guy
more of those
jumping out.
I
lately.
was gonna say I've seen way more.
Yeah, yeah. People not need to stop doing that because it freaks me out. It makes me think there's somebody jumping out into the road.
Yeah, I agree.
And when it's a real Bigfoot, you're gonna ignore it because you're gonna be used to all these
Right.
cutouts.
I'm gonna clip it and then I'm gonna have to hide it because there's no way I'm ever putting that out into the world.
I feel
I
like
do not want to
the
be the
government would
first
just come for
person that
you.
finds a real Bigfoot.
I'm sure there have been many people that found a real Bigfoot. I've watched Harry and the Hendersons before. I know how this thing plays
That's
out.
true. Yeah. Yeah, you have to keep them under lock and key in your house so that they
They
don't get
have to
out.
basically become your roommate.
Right, right. Yeah. So, yeah.
This really devolved.
Or
Yeah.
has it evolved?
I I don't know. Tim, anything you want to add about your Waukesha big year or birding or anything else?
No, I think it's I mean, I'm glad I did it. It was fun. I just some of my misses ended up being because I was burnt out.
Yeah.
So buyer beware. It happens. And but it kind of motivated me to do what I'm doing this year, which is more slow birding
It
and
motivated me to
um
stop.
no, no, I promised myself I wasn't going to do that. I still love birding, but this year, yeah, I'm doing more slow birding, more of just the the smaller area birding, like I said, the parks and whatnot. Kind of motivated me to do more of that. Sit at every park bench you see, kind of thing, and take in what's around you. And yeah, I mean it's a different style of birding, but I feel just excuse me, just as satisfied coming out of it. So
Cool.
plus I don't have to put as many miles on my car.
Yeah, that's a plus.
Yeah.
You could do one of those big green big years where you can't take a car anywhere and you have to bike everywhere.
Yeah, well, my bike's kind of shot, so I'd need to
Sounds
buy
like
a
an
bike
excuse.
first. I mean, I could just walk, but I mean,
Who
yeah,
needs it?
yeah. Isn't my neighborhood's not that great of a birding spot, so I'll pass on that
You could
idea.
do a
Guess you
big
gotta
year where
guess you
you
gotta
can
buy
only
the
bird in a
McMahon
1 mile
Road
radius.
property and then make that your new backyard.
Yeah, I think that's too much work. I'll
I have an
just keep going
idea.
to county parks.
You buy that property and then you put the house that you want over it on big stilts with a glass floor. Then you can
Also, I
just
can
look
look
down on
down
a
on the
shorebird.
avocets.
Yep.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
many pictures on eBird how do you have of like aerial views of shorebirds? Not many.
I'd probably be at some of the first, but you got a lot of ideas there, right? So
I'm an ideas man.
it's clear. It's clear.
All right. Well, thanks, Tim, for joining us, and thanks to everyone for watching and listening to this episode of the Badgerland Birding Podcast.